So could this be the best free running coach that you can get out there to improve your fitness level and speed? What I mean by free is you still have to get yourself a Garmin watch to start with, but I'm going to share with you my initial thoughts on the daily suggested feature by Garmin and also how it's affected by someone who suffers from insomnia. So since I got this watch a couple of months ago, I've been testing out the daily suggested workouts on the Garmin watch and just wanted to see kind of how it improves my running and kind of whether it does anything to my speed. So I can say that so far I've been really enjoying the feature and I've been using it regularly. I've not been actually using it every day and following it kind of to the T every day to kind of do my workouts and do all the workouts that it suggests. I found that at the start it was recommending a lot of base runs and recovery runs. So to me, I thought they were quite easy and it wasn't very challenging. So for the first couple of weeks, I'd say I wasn't enjoying it as much, but I still kind of picked out the suggested workouts. So if it said 30-minute base run, I would kind of follow it and see how I got on, and then a couple of recovery runs, which to me at the time felt really slow, but I still did it to see kind of how it felt. But over time, maybe from about week 3, I've noticed it started suggesting other workouts. So at the start it would be stuff like maybe a longer run than just a base run. So it would suggest to do kind of a 40-minute run or a 50-minute run. It was still kind of like a very slow pace, or kind of slower than the pace that I would like to go, but it did suggest kind of other varieties at about week 3. And then over time it kind of added threshold run, and then I had one interval run that's come up, but I've not seen an interval run come up kind of again. There's definitely been some sprint works that's come up as a suggested workout, so that's very good. The reason I haven't been following the watch kind of suggested workouts every day or every time it suggests a run is because I normally do my runs in the mornings before work, and sometimes when it suggests a long run or kind of a base run that's longer than 30 or 40 minutes in the mornings, I don't have time to kind of do longer runs in the mornings unless I get up earlier that day to wait to see kind of what my suggested workout is going to be. I know with the Garmin Forerunner 255, it does actually suggest 7 days ahead what your suggested workouts will be kind of in the future, which really helps. But for someone like me who doesn't sleep very well pretty much every night, I would look at my watch and see what the workout is suggested for the next morning. So sometimes I would think, oh, it's only a half-an-hour workout or a 40-minute sprint run or something like that. And I would think in my mind, oh yeah, I can do that tomorrow morning. But because my sleep pattern is so bad, by the time I wake up the next morning, I check my watch again, it would have changed to either a rest day, recovery, or base run. So the night before it would suggest I do a harder workout the following morning, but because of my sleep, it kind of changes by the time I wake up, because it would either be a poor sleep or I've not slept enough, or it'll be an interrupted sleep, and then my sleep score would be very low. So the watch would adjust according to what it thinks I should do, and usually it would be because it thinks I'm too tired, and then it would just say do something a bit easier. So in that regard, it's good that it actually takes into account my rest and my sleep. But then I seem to always be getting the easier runs. So if I do follow the watch kind of every day, it won't be very challenging. I've also found that over time, I've been seeing less and less rest days. Originally, I would see maybe 1 or 2 rest days in the week. Kind of when I look ahead, like 7 days ahead, I would see there'll be a rest day coming up, or even 2 rest days coming up in the next 7 days. But at the moment, I don't really see rest days anymore. So I feel like when it's kind of suggesting for 7 days ahead, every day there would be a workout, and I don't see rest days anymore. But I do take rest days when I need it. So I generally do 3 to 4 runs a week, and then 2 days I'll do a workout at home. So normally I would have at least 1 rest day of like not doing any workout or any runs. So I do schedule in my own rest days every week. But if I follow the watch, then I feel like I'll be working out every day. And if you see my last video about how much I hate running every day, then you know I wouldn't want to follow the watch and then run every day, because I know I wouldn't enjoy it. So the things I do like about the suggested workout on the Garmin watch is that it helps me mix up my workouts. Before I got the Garmin, I would generally run kind of the same pace, and I would over time every week just build up the distance that I can run, but it'll be at the same pace. And I felt like I wasn't improving kind of my fitness and kind of just in general my health and running and things like that. So I felt like I was just a bit stuck. But since I've got the Garmin and I've been taking advantage of the daily suggested workout, I feel like I'm pushing myself a little bit more. I always hear about doing kind of speed work, intervals and hill runs and things like that, but I never actually implemented it into my training. But following the watch where it would tell me to do kind of tempo run or threshold, and I feel like I'm pushing myself more. And sometimes when I go for a run, I don't necessarily know what I want to do. I just feel like if it's on the weekend, then I feel like, oh, I've got an hour, might just go out and run for an hour at a comfortable speed. And then normally during the week when I go for a run before work, I will just do like a little 5k, or usually I feel like I have 30 to 40 minutes, so I'll just run at whatever pace and whatever I feel like that morning. So there wasn't a lot of variety with my training. So I feel like with the Garmin watch daily suggested workouts, I feel like it's really giving me different options that I've not really thought about before. The other thing I like about the daily suggested workouts is that it encourages me to go out more frequently as well. Normally I just run generally 3 times a week or sometimes 4 times in the week. And Saturdays just wasn't a run day. But since I've been kind of using the daily suggested workout on the watch, if it's suggesting I do a run that morning, or it's something that sounds very interesting or very exciting, then I would go for a run as well on a Sunday, which was not something that I did before. So I think that's good, and that kind of makes me go out when I wasn't planning to. So yeah, that definitely encourages me to go out for a run. The other thing I really like about the suggested daily workout is that you can choose to do a workout. So if you look at the watch and then you see 7 days worth of workout suggestions, if there's something you fancy doing today and it was suggested kind of tomorrow, you can choose to do that workout. So you don't have to wait until tomorrow to do it, and you don't necessarily have to do the workout that's suggested to you today. So I really like that about the option to do that, because like I said before, when I wake up in the morning sometimes, and because I sleep so badly every day, it always just suggests base workouts and recovery runs. So without having that option to do a future workout that could be something like a threshold or like an interval, I feel like it would just be very boring, and to me it would be no use for someone who doesn't sleep very well at all and someone who suffers from insomnia. So I feel like having that option is definitely a really good thing. So you might have guessed there, with good things there's always going to be a couple of negatives that I kind of want to point out, and you might know already what I might say is that someone who sleeps so badly, for me, is not very useful if I do want to plan ahead. So even if I wanted to plan for the next day or the next morning, because it always reverts back to base runs and recovery runs because of my bad sleep. So in that regard, it's not good, but because it lets you do the workout, you can choose to do the workout for future runs or future suggestions. So it kind of balances out that negative point. But if you are someone who wants to look 7 days ahead and plan it in, or maybe even put it in your calendar, knowing kind of these are the workouts that I'm going to do for the next 7 days, just bear in mind that depending on your sleep, it would all change. And yeah, sometimes it's really hard to plan to know what you're doing the next day for someone who has insomnia. The other thing that I guess it could be a good or a bad. So say if I miss a workout like today, then the following day or two, it would always kind of revert back to base runs. So when I schedule in my own rest days and miss a workout, it kind of always seems to suggest base runs for me. So that could be a negative point if you do want to know what you're doing for the upcoming 7 days. It just changes accordingly. So like I said, it could be a good thing that it does take into account how much rest you've had, so it doesn't push you like too hard, but also it's hard to plan ahead. So that also means that it's probably more suited to someone who does evening runs, because then they don't necessarily have to worry too much about whether they have half an hour for a run or an hour, because it could change. So for someone who only has a limited time in the mornings to go for a run and get ready for work, then I don't think it works as well, not knowing what the suggestion is going to be the following day. So I think the Garmin daily suggested workouts are more suited for someone who either works out in the evenings or someone who doesn't have to necessarily go to work. So overall, I've been really enjoying this feature on the Garmin watch, but like I said, for me personally, it doesn't work if I wanted to follow it every day and see what happens. In the future, I would like to do that though. I would like to be able to follow my watch and do all the workouts that it tells me to do every day. But I feel like for me, as someone who doesn't sleep well at all, it will just be base runs every day, and it's probably not going to be very beneficial for me personally. But for someone who sleeps better in the night, it could be a very good training tool for you. And like I say, if you have the Garmin watch, then it's free to use. So that to me is a really good advantage of the watch. So to answer the question from earlier, is it the best free running coach that you can get? I would say yes. To me, it's definitely working out quite well. And the fact that I can choose the workouts that I want to do despite suffering from insomnia, I have definitely enjoyed this feature, and I'll definitely continue to use it in the future as well. Let me know if you use the daily suggested workouts on the Garmin watch, because I still feel like I'm quite a beginner in terms of planning my runs and knowing what's best for me in terms of my training. So I'll be very interested to know kind of what you use and how you plan out your runs and what sort of training you follow. So let me know in the comments what you use as your training coach or your training plan. So I hope you enjoyed my video on the thoughts on the daily suggested workout by Garmin. If you have any questions, please leave them down below, and I'll see you on my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.